Hi, guys. Welcome to Parawomenradio. I'm Amy. Tonight on the Highly Strange Daze podcast on the Parawomenradio network. Oh, DeeDee. Oh, DeeDee Blanchard. How did you manage to work your voodoo magic so well on poor Gypsy Rose? According to Gypsy Rose's prison confessions, her mother, while still alive, supposedly placed a voodoo curse on her, ensuring she'll never find love again. Tonight, we'll be delving into the wild accusation and exploring the concept of being cursed by a voodoo. So hold on to your hair and fingernail clippings, folks, because we're delving into the bizarre world of the cursed world of Gypsy Rose. While we wait for everyone to roll in, I'm going to roll some credits. Special shout out to my replay crew and my dragonflies. How was your weekend, my lovelies? Please welcome to Parawomenradio. I'm Amy.
Carefully strumming this old guitar, words rolling out into the fire. Never ask why my heart burned blue. Here in the haze where you inspire me. Here in the darkness I hear my cue. Time to find some solitude. Here where my soul bleeds openly, deep in the heart of sin and you. Here in the blue, I'm falling deep into you. Carefully strumming this old guitar again, words rolling out into our fire. If heaven had wings, I would steal them and fly away with you for a while. Here in the essence of gratitude, your dreamy little smile on my lips. I miss my cue, but baby, I had you. Miss my cue, but I had you for that day.
Here in the essence of gratitude, I've got all of you today. And not only that, it is the Highly Strange Daze podcast. So I've got my beautiful co-host, Shannon, with me. Hi, Shannon.
Hi, Amy. Hi, everyone. It's so good to be here. Did you see how I wrote my screen name?
And then this time I didn't even attempt to say it. I'm having a bad day. I'm not even trying it. I'm not even trying that dish today. No, sir. No, ma'am.
Well, now you won't have any problem.
I will not. If you keep that up there, I shall not.
I will keep that up there.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here. I had a fantastic day learning all about the Gypsy Rose case situation.
Yeah. It's
I
quite the
I
situation.
I had seen I didn't ever watch it, but I'd seen the movie The Act
Mhm.
advertised on Hulu. Um and so I was like, "Oh, that's what this is." Okay. And so I just um I I I fell down the rabbit hole.
Mm.
It was really fun.
It was fun. Wow.
Well, interesting, I guess. Well, I have fun learning.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess it's fun at first, and then then I'm pissed off. I'm just at a pissed off stage with it where
Oh,
I just think it's so like, why does she keep getting all this money? And I
you mean
struggle.
you mean the mom? Why did she keep getting that?
Oh no, I'm
Or
talking about Gypsy.
oh no,
Why does Gypsy keep earning all this cash, this moo out money over and over again, and we're all struggling out here.
oh, I never thought about that. Yeah, that does pretty much suck because I'm really struggling.
I am so struggling right now. I am at I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm at a point where I've worked so hard at this channel for like I've worked and I've worked and I've worked, and if I don't start making some money, I'm not going to make it.
Oh dear.
I'm behind on my rent,
Mm-hmm.
and I lent money to my friend from the 3rd grade, and I lent it to her at Christmas time, and she was supposed and I was 2 months ahead of my rent, and I lent it to her, and she was supposed to pay me back in the spring, and it's summer, and now because I didn't get the money, like the interest that I've owed on it, like I've paid my rent each month, but the interest that like I couldn't afford some money, and it's just getting bigger and bigger, and if I don't pay it on Monday, I'm getting my eviction notice, and in Florida, evictions go fast, and it's all I can think about, and it's causing me such stress and pain, and yeah, so I have to say this to my audience: if you ever were considering of maybe donating and tipping to the channel, now would be the time for that, if you could possibly do it. I don't know what else to do. I don't know.
That is so uncanny, Amy, because I have been struggling fighting with my disability company through work
Mm-hmm.
because I'm disabled,
Mm-hmm.
and they told me no more short-term disability, you have to be long-term. But they've taken almost 2 months and they still haven't approved it.
Mm.
And so yeah, I too am behind on my rent. And my power was shut off this past week, and thankfully my mom turned it back on, and my water was shut off, and my aunt turned that back on. So I'm right there with you. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's insane, and
Uh,
I
And
just
I go
really
to court on Tuesday.
on
But
Tuesday you do.
yep. But luckily, I used to work for a district court back in Hillsdale
Mhm.
County where we met. And when I worked there, well, things a lot different now. There's a lady at the court that the court where I am now. She told me that ever since COVID, they've gotten more lenient in for evictions, and so they give you a couple hearings to come up with all the money. And then she is actually, her position is just to help people find money to pay their rent, and she
Well,
works for the court.
Florida is a lot different than Michigan, and
Yeah.
on top of it all, oh God, she like I just I wasn't able to sign my lease. And I told her like a month ago, the friend, I was like, I need to sign my lease, and they won't let me sign my lease until I pay it all. And
Ugh.
So now I don't even freaking have a lease. So I am like on the verge of panic because when it all happened with my mom and I was homeless, I had a vehicle to sleep in and I don't even have that. So
oh my God.
I need a miracle. I need a miracle, but I've got to keep on doing what I'm doing because I can't I got to keep going because people are like, well, why don't you take off? Well, this is what I'm doing to earn money now. I can't take off. So I'm just hoping something comes through today and tomorrow or tomorrow. I don't know. Anyway, so I'm sorry I was late. My stomach is really upset because I'm nervous. And so I'm sorry. I know we were supposed to get together and do that intro, and hopefully maybe next week things will be better and we can do it next week.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. I completely understand. You don't have to explain.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go right into the Gypsy Rose case. We know that Gypsy Rose did you watch the prison confessions of
Yes.
Gypsy Rose? Okay.
I mean, I haven't seen all of them. I've only seen the first 3.
Oh, did you see the part where she talked about her mom putting the voodoo curse? I don't know which segment. Okay, so we're gonna we're gonna watch a little bit. I've got some clips, and then we're going to discuss.
Okay.
Oops. Anytime okay. Oh, there.
My mother put a voodoo hex on me. She printed out a picture of Dan, and she printed out a picture of me, and she went to the store and got a mason jar and a cow tongue. She put the cow tongue in the mason jar with the 2 pictures and a little bit of my menstrual blood. Put it in a mason jar, buried it in the backyard, and said that you will never find love. You will never be happy. So I think that it's true.
Hey, how are you?
In their backyard. Gypsy
engaged in 2019. I was still such a young girl. I had so much to learn about relationships. And he left me. So it's like I always bring it back to that curse where I'm like, I believe it's true.
Gypsy revealed that after her first attempt of running away, her mother told her that she would never find love and that she would never be happy. DeeDee even went as far as putting a voodoo hex on Gypsy. She put a picture of Gypsy and a picture of the guy she ran away with, a cow tongue and Gypsy's menstrual blood into a jar, and buried it in their backyard. Gypsy says she feels like this has been something that's followed her throughout her life with different relationships, and that it's true. She will never find true love because
So DeeDee was putting spells on Gypsy. That's wild, but it's not so far out of the bounds of what I would think. DeeDee had this wizard that was tattooed on her leg. It was on her ankle, and she would play with magic, you know. When I was a kid, I seen DeeDee playing with the Ouija board and spells and playing people over to get what she wanted, maybe mind control. And controlling these doctors and controlling this whole world around her like a puppeteer was probably very satisfying to her.
It's almost a scene out of Carrie. Now, DeeDee is threatening her daughter and acting in a bizarre, wicked fashion. And certainly Gypsy could be haunted by these seeming like spells for years.
point, there was a significant part of our relationship that I believe broke. I'm like, well, I could just wait till she passes away naturally, but I didn't know how long that was going to be. And she could have lived to be 70 years old, and at that time I would be too old to do the things that I would want, like have children and have a life of my own. So I really started to weigh out the pros and the cons and realizing that I needed to get out of this situation now.
So if we even believe that the mom put this voodoo curse on her, and doing the research for this, I was thinking nothing Gypsy says is true. So how do we even know that?
Amy, I'm going to have to leave and come back because I lost sound. So I'll be right back.
Okay. Okay, so we don't even know if it was true. And when we go over to Becca Scoop tells us this. And she's talking as if Dan Glidewell, and this is the guy that her mom supposedly did the voodoo curse on, Dan Glidewell. Becca Scoop tells us this. Hold on a second. It's not, I realize now that you can't see it, but I don't understand. Now I'm going to have problems tonight.
Well, it's almost Mercury retrograde, right?
Yes, and it is the full moon. So yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and yes.
And I'm back.
Okay, welcome back. So Dan Glidewell, the person that the mother supposedly put this curse on, wanted nothing to do with her. And Becca Scoop tells us this. And we're just going to watch a little portion of Becca Scoops as she tells us all about Dan and Gypsy.
For Gypsy, they found her in this hotel room, quote, getting ready to be intimate, end quote. DeeDee was so mortified and utterly embarrassed by her behavior, she made Gypsy apologize to everyone who had been searching for her. A few weeks later, Gypsy showed up without her wheelchair at a neighbor's door, begging them to give her a ride to Mercy Hospital, where Gypsy claimed her boyfriend, Dan Glidewell, was a patient who had gotten badly beaten up. It wasn't until after DeeDee's death did the neighbors see Gypsy on the local news and realized she was the strange girl in the wig that showed up on their doorstep. This is the infamous event where Gypsy goes back to Dan Glidewell's place and DeeDee shows up. According to Dan's roommate, he wasn't really into Gypsy. In fact, Dan was literally shocked Gypsy showed up at the hospital. Gypsy insisted on accompanying Dan back to his place, attempting to insert herself into his life. DeeDee shows up and Gypsy screams and yells at her. DeeDee screams and yells. However, Gypsy returns home with her mom. When Dan, who was married, made it clear he would not be taking Gypsy to live with him in Arkansas, she became enraged, later telling her close friend and neighbor, Aaliyah Woodmansey, quote, "Can I tell you a secret? Back in 2011, I ran away from home. I met a pedophile online. He took me back to his friend's house and made me sleep in his bed. But when he got handsy, I freaked out," end quote. When DeeDee had confronted Dan at his house, she called him a pedophile, lying about Gypsy's age, saying she was only 15 years old. Gypsy was actually 19 at the time. It appears Gypsy adopted this lie after Dan refused to become her knight in shining armor.
And so that is probably the true story of what happened with Dan. Well, no, it is the true story. Becca Scoops is amazing, and it is the true story. It wasn't, I don't believe it was a voodoo curse, but we're going to get into some voodoo curses tonight, and we're going to talk about it. What do you think, Shannon?
About the voodoo curse or about the true story?
About the voodoo curse and if DeeDee did it.
Oh, I don't think she did. I think DeeDee was a pro at convincing people of things, and I don't think it was an actual voodoo curse, or if it even was an actual voodoo curse, if it did anything, you know.
I think she just did it to try to scare Gypsy, if she did it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and she probably did it when she was I don't know. Oh, Heavenly, thank you, honey. You don't have to do that. You really don't. I really appreciate everything you do for me. Heavenly is one of our mods, and she's amazing. Heavenly and Chrissy, they're both amazing human beings, and they're doing what you used to do, Shannon. They're modding for me.
That's just the start. Next thing you know, they'll be doing the Para World News.
I know. I offered it.
As long as they talk about things that have the image of Jesus Christ in them at least once a month, they can do it.
Yes. That was a highlight. I loved the Paraworld News. That was like the best.
Yep, that and albino people in Africa.
People in Africa, which now that I think about it, is just truly horrific. It's horrific. Ugh. But at the time, I'd never ever heard of it before.
Right? You know. Those poor people.
I know. Oh.
Anyhow, yes, her mother. I saw the tattoo.
Actually, I just want to say really quickly, the real seller. I did a little cartwheel when I saw that Biden dropped out, because thank you. Goodbye, old man. Anyway, go ahead.
I was so confused for a minute. Okay. Yeah, I had my eyes closed as I was talking, and then you started talking about Biden, so I opened them, and I'm like, why is she talking about it?
See you later.
Anyhow, I know that the mom has that voodoo tattoo. That rhymes. The voodoo tattoo on her arm. So it's possible that she's familiar with voodoo.
That has a wizard, a voodoo. That's not necessarily voodoo. Wizards, right?
Oh, the picture I saw, but I thought it was a chicken.
Oh, I thought it was a wizard. Let me look.
I could be wrong. I don't have the best eyesight anymore.
Well, I don't know. I
thought it was a chicken.
It was a chicken. That you thought that was a chicken?
What?
Did you on the screen? What I have on? Do I have it on the screen right now?
No, you don't.
Oh, I don't. Oh, sorry. Oh, I'm slipping tonight. You thought that was a chicken?
Yeah, that's not a black chicken.
No, that's a wizard with a pentagram. And to me, you would have a chicken if you were doing voodoo or something. But would you have a wizard? Like you would have some kind of high priestess or something. Wouldn't you have something if you were a female doing voodoo? I don't know.
Oh, well, there is the pentagram. So, typically people that don't want to be affiliated with witchcraft or something like that, they wouldn't have a pentagram on their body because, it's kind of a stigma maybe in some places. Anyhow, so she might have been affiliated with magic and witchcraft or voodoo, and it might have been some sort of spell if it even happened. It could be something that Gypsy is just telling everyone to continue to feel sorry for her and give her money.
Yeah, and I think they think that if people, Gypsy went away and was gone for a period of time, and when she came out, the world definitely changed because people aren't so freaked out about what they always used to be freaked out about. Like, it's gotten a little bit better, I've noticed, for people, because there's just so many walks of life out there. And I think they put it out there like we were all going to be like, oh, a voodoo curse? No, not that. Like throwing your hand over the child in the car, so they don't fall forward. A voodoo curse, no. The mom seatbelt, no, in the 70s.
Right. Whereas, now people, I mean, voodoo has just, it's more accepted in culture. And I read novels, and voodoo's always popping up in novels, and not in a bad way. I don't know. I agree. I agree with you, and in that she probably wasn't aware that it's not a bad thing, and maybe people aren't going to feel sorry for her.
Yeah. So back in the early 2000s, Shannon and I were doing Parawomenradio, and we interviewed a woman from Divine Dolls, and she was a voodoo hoodoo priestess.
I remember that.
You do remember it? Okay, so we've got a little bit of her on, and I thought we would listen a little bit to what it is to even be a voodoo hoodoo priestess, to see if we even think that DeeDee was even doing this stuff, because it was New Orleans, it was New Orleans, and I know that is very pop witchcraft, and voodoo hoodoo is very well known around that area.
Right. But by that point, weren't they in Missouri?
Well, yeah, but DeeDee probably picked up her voodoo hoodoo in New Orleans.
Oh, yeah.
I'm saying.
Okay.
He was raised in it. So raised in the voodoo hoodoo grifting sector, if there's such a thing.
Right.
And we get love. So be sure to rank us, and we really appreciate those that do that. Tonight, for our first guest, we have Yvette Parrish, and she's known as Lorena. She's a mambo of voodoo tradition. She's an intuitive counselor and has been creating dolls locally in Texas, and recently decided to offer them to the world. These divine dolls have been a MySpace hit, popular with entertainers, artists, magicians, and folk art collectors. So I see Yvette is on the line. So let me get the switchboard up and bring her on.
Hello, ladies.
Hi, Yvette. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. I enjoyed y'all chit-chatting like that. I wanted to chime in.
As a little side note, on this night, I was dealing with my migraines, and they had put me on a medication that made me feel like I was truly coming unglued. And so I'm really off on this night. This was the night that we interviewed Alexandria Holzer, too. Holzer, which was Hans Holzer's daughter.
I just remembered the Divine Dolls.
You don't remember Alexandra Holzer?
No.
She was, she's the daughter of Hans Holzer, who wrote all those paranormal books in the 50s and 60s. And he did a lot of work with Lorraine and Ed Warren.
Oh, okay.
In that circuit of people. Yeah, it was his daughter.
So glad to have you, because that's what we always say, that these 2 hours are about, is just girlfriends chatting about the paranormal. So
very cool. Yeah, I very much appreciate y'all inviting me, and hopefully I can answer the questions. And I know there's a lot of mysticism and taboo about the subject and the religion of voodoo, so I'm really glad to be able to be on and talk about it, and it's not a scary thing, I'm a regular woman, married with kids, and I'm not, drinking any blood outside or, naked
There's no
at the
chicken
moonlight.
blood involved? You're not drinking any chicken blood?
No, just chicken feet. I have some chicken feet.
Yeah.
I saw the chicken feet.
Yeah, when they came in, it took me about 10 minutes till I could really touch them because they were just really wild looking, and then I was able to, and of course, decorate them, and then I was, chasing the kids around with them, and we had a good time.
They're pretty creepy looking, though. They are.
They wait. Well, when I saw them, they first came in really raw looking. The feathers really tend to make them look prettier than what they were when I got them, And
what are they for?
They're actually very traditional protection talismans in hoodoo and in voodoo. A lot of people, kind of like a rabbit's foot is good luck. Maybe not for the rabbit, per se, but the chicken feet are really kind of an old magical folklore of protection to hang above your door. And lots of voodoo mambos and hoodoos and witches like them. And they're fun, and I've got one above my door as well, but it's got pink feathers and pearls on it, and I painted little nails. The things we do.
Great. That's great.
How are you with your medication, Amy?
Oh,
Okay,
it's making me stupid.
Are you? Really?
So I'm going to fast forward. We don't need to know about my medications.
Oh, few are chosen, and I really think that I was chosen. And it's sort of, I really can't even, so many people have asked me that, how did you come about, being a voodooist or a mambo? And it sort of just evolved, and it wasn't no premonition, this vision, a dream that came to me, you must be. It wasn't like that. It was so evolved so slowly. And as I studied about many religions, including Buddhism and from Ifa to Santeria I just was studying so many different religions, Hinduism, and different goddesses and gods and all the different religions, and studying what happens when you die in different religions. And I really was just doing a lot of research, and it always went back to voodoo. It always went back there. And maybe it's my Catholic roots, or I spent so much time in church that it was just natural for me. And I think in Texas, there's more Santeria folks than there are voodoo. I think I'm probably one of the very few in my city who is sort of out of the closet, so to speak, about the religion. If there are, I don't.
And I did do a search for her, and I can't find her anywhere. Divine Dolls, Texas, Yvette. I can't remember her last name, though. Did I say her name when I welcomed her on?
I'm sure you probably did.
I probably did. I can't find, she must not be in business anymore, but it would have been interesting if she were.
And if any are listening in my city, you can contact me. I'd love to meet them. But
it's funny because when you think of voodoo, at least when I think of voodoo, the old sense, I think of New Orleans. New Orleans, or however you want to say it.
Correct.
And that sort of, it seems to be, that's where your focus is. You don't think of someone in Texas or Michigan or what have you being a voodoo, or what have you. Is that where it evolved more or less, or is that just all Hollywoodized?
No, I think a lot of the voodooists, a large collection of the folks who practice it probably are in New Orleans and in Louisiana, and they dabble a little bit with hoodoo, which is a little bit more just the magic part of voodoo and not the religion, where they are doing voodoo magic, but they're not spending any time in church, perhaps. So it's a little bit more magical opposed to religious. We do the same magic, but it's kind of a combination. You have to go to church, and you have to pray, and you have to have your proper respects to your ancestors and have respectable altars, and in addition to doing the magic. If you do only one or the other, you can get in trouble. And I think sometimes, people who just do hoodoo are just doing the magic, and you have to, have the base. I think you have to be very much well-rounded. And but I do agree that many people who practice voodoo are in New Orleans and Louisiana, but it's a little bit slightly different than what I do. I'm a little bit more traditional voodoo. opposed
And
to just
Texas really isn't that far from New Orleans.
It really isn't, and I've gone to New Orleans many times and picked up supplies, and that's how I learned how to create the dolls in the first place. I met a wonderful priestess in New Orleans, and I wanted to make a doll. I wanted to do some magic on my soon-to-be husband. And so I met this priestess, and I just love him so much, when you're in love, and what can I do so he'll love me forever, And this was about 11 years ago, and she taught me how to make a doll and how to make it work and how to consecrate it and baptize it and give it a name and how to do that. And I learned how to create the doll, but the doll itself was not attractive, okay? It was a traditional, kind of a scary skull face, It wasn't the prettiest doll. I like to say my dolls are a little bit more glamorous, and so I remember asking the priestess, I said, does it have to look like this? I mean, it's supposed to be a love doll, but it's scaring the love right out of me, And she said, no. She said, I'm just not artistic. She goes, I'm a magic woman. I'm just not an artist. And when she said that, I was like, oh, so the outside could look any way I want it to be. It's like bells went off. I was like, oh, I want a pretty doll. And that's how I started, playing with the different designs and fabrics and different ways to create the doll that would have the same magical power, but pleasing to the eye, And when people think voodoo dolls, they're thinking pins and needles and this skull face with this straw sticking out of it, and in many of the case, the tourists, that's what they get, But I like to say my dolls are very modern, and they're effective and beautiful, We don't have to be scared, to be, so blessed it's scaring us, the doll, So I make a point to really concentrate on each collection and what's the theme. I make sure I have a theme and a color scheme and the time of year, and I really put a lot of thought into each collection. And if you look on my MySpace page, you'll see many different, from a New Orleans collection, a love collection, a Getty, an ancestor, skeleton collection. I really try to separate them and make it seasonal, and I have so much fun. I mean, I get to play with dolls all day and get to do magic, and I got a great deal.
I want to visit you and do that. That would be a lot of fun.
I have so much fun. I got some students that I teach, and when I look at my schedule, I look really busy, but I really juggle the time really well, and I, have students on a certain day a week, and I make dolls on a certain day a week, and I ship them a certain day, and I've got it all organized like a little teacher, and try to keep everything organized so the family's happy, and my business stays thriving, and my magic.
What does your family think about it all?
Let's see, like who?
The kids, the husband, what do they say?
I would say the kids, I have 3 kids, and the oldest and the youngest are very receptive and open, and my little girl, she already knows who Imaya is and knows who my altars are for, and when she finds a seashell, she'll say, this is for Imaya, and she'll bring it to my altar, and she's really sweet. And my oldest, he's very, I think he's probably closer to being a pagan, and he loves, to study about the occult and different magic, and he likes Reiki and healing and everything, and so he's very in tune. And my middle child is like his daddy, thinks it's all crazy, and what the heck?
I've got one like that too. So
he's like, what the heck? He goes, that's just a skull, and I go, it's not a real skull, and he's always giving me, a little trouble and teasing me, and the chicken feet. So when they came in, my son, the middle one, said, I'm trying to eat here, the chicken feet all hanging, and oh my goodness, my altar room is really colorful and really full of all my objects, and I hung all the chicken feet for 3 days to bless them. So every time they'd walk into the altar room, my middle son would say some smart aleck comment, and those are the ugliest things I ever saw, and things an 8-year-old would say, and I'm like, well, then don't go in my room, So I would say my 8-year-old and my husband are very similar. I just think they just kind of stay away from it. But my my youngest and my oldest, they're very receptive and respectful and acknowledge it, and so it's kind of an unusual situation with my husband being a Christian, and then my son a pagan, and then my two youngest trying to decide where they are. And so we're quite a collection of religious faiths in this house.
So you can see that she is a very normal woman. Her husband was Christian. I think that Gypsy Rose wants us to be shocked, but it's just not shocking.
Right. I agree.
So when I was researching the whole voodoo, hoodoo, I thought it was really interesting because I came on quite a few things about, the roots of it. But a lot of sites pointed out that Christianity actually was the one that made the voodoo hoodoo so like scary, like they demonized it when it was just another religion.
Well, I mean, does that surprise you?
No, it doesn't surprise me at all, but I'm just saying it.
Yeah.
I'm just putting it out there. I'm just rolling it out into the carpet.
I believe it. I completely believe that.
So I thought it was, I couldn't find any photos of that, and I couldn't find the dolls. I really didn't look that hard, to be honest with you, but I thought it would be interesting to actually look at really quick voodoo priestess summoning healing spirits in post-earthquake Haiti.
Okay.
I don't know what's going to happen with this because it's a Vice. So you guys, I might end up having to edit this out later on, just so you know. And we do stop and start everything. We will stop and start everything we view and or we speak over it. I will put the links to everything down in the description, and this is for fair play use, and we must do it this way. I understand wanting to watch it without any interruptions, but this is the podcast, and you can go to the links and do it if you want to watch it straight through on your own, and I totally understand, and you will find the links to everything we watch and view. College, we went to the east side. We went to Maryland, and we for a summer program, a summer school, one summer went east, and we worked at this refugee center in Maryland, and there were these people who had come over from Haiti on a raft. They had just like set sail in the ocean and just like took their chances and drifted over to the United States. And it was really sad because they said that happens a lot, that people just come over from Haiti because it's a lawless country, or it was at the time in the 90s. And I don't know what it is right now. And but what was even more terrifying was they said that our government was probably going to send them back, and all of those people were going to be executed. And all I could do was just watch them. Like, these people are going to be sent back and executed. And I just couldn't imagine living in that kind of world where your country, if you leave it and you're sent back, you're executed.
That's heartbreaking.
And
I hope it's not like that anymore.
I hope so too. What was even more heartbreaking, there were refugees that had done very similar things that were white, not from Haiti, and they weren't being sent back. And I questioned. I was like, well, is it because the color of their skin? And they said, what country do you live in, Amy? And I'm like, okay, all right. Anyway. So.
Oh, yeah. It's disgusting.
When she's in the ceremony, doesn't she?
Maybe she has more makeup on and that alters her appearance.
Yeah, I think now that I'm looking at it, it is more makeup. About voodoo, that is exactly what I think of. Is this what you think of?
Yes. Yep, it is. And I just find it interesting that there are so many similarities between voodoo and other religions.
I know.
There's nothing, you don't, I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm sorry. There's just really not so much that sets us apart.
Yeah. Well, I think what other gets you to the higher power, that gets you to the higher realms, I'm good with. And I think that whatever is the higher power, that's the creation of it all, created all of these things to get us to that higher level. And with the Christianity, this is my belief, this is my opinion, but I feel like all the kings, they kind of mess with it and muddied the waters, and it just all the male were do you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm trying to say? Yeah.
Oh yeah, politics has played a great big part in what Christianity has become today. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so Gypsy Rose, going back to her, she said that DeeDee did this to her over a man named Dan, and her mother had chained her to a bed for 2 weeks as punishment. And then she printed out a picture of Dan, and she printed out a picture of Gypsy, and she went to the store and got a mason jar and a cow tongue. She put the cow tongue in the mason jar with 2 pictures and a little bit of her menstrual blood. She buried it in the backyard and said, "You will never find love. You will never be happy." So I think it's true. I just think it's true because every time I get close to someone, they leave me.
She doesn't think that it could be because she didn't learn how to socialize and maybe doesn't know how to form relationships properly.
That she's a liar. I've looked around on the Reddit forums to see if there was any discussion, because people have gone out to that house over and over and over again, Gypsy's home. And did they dig up the mason jar? Did anyone find the mason jar? I can't find any answers to. It seems like it would be that simple. Go look for the mason jar, because if she buried it in the backyard,
yeah, it should be there. It'd be interesting to know if beef tongue actually is something typically used. In voodoo, I know chicken stuff is used. Well, like what we heard today, about the feed and the blood. Well, chicken blood maybe, but beef is beef something that they use?
No. Well, let me look. There's a powerful cow tongue spell for manifesting your desires. If I do a Google,
okay,
this is what I come up with. I can't go to this LA Times because it's I would have to subscribe, but a bloody cow painted tongue found outside the entrance to a welfare office represented a Santeria or voodoo ritual. So,
Oh, okay.
but burying it in a mason jar in the backyard.
Yeah, I don't know.
And like a beef tongue shut up hoodoo spell. So it seems like it would be more like of a shut up spell, not a love spell.
Right. Yeah, I would agree with that. Have you ever eaten beef tongue?
No, I just no. Have you?
Yes. Oh yeah, I had it in tacos once. The texture is kind of tonguey, but it was tasty. It had a good flavor to it. I mean, it just tastes like beef.
Yeah, I just can't. I just can't eat weird stuff because it does weird stuff in my stomach.
Oh, that's
Comes alive
understandable.
in my stomach or something. I always think of that Mad About You episode where they went to that game place and they ate all the weird food, and that night they dreamed weird dreams. And
I don't see it. I really don't see it. And I don't see, even if it did happen, okay, I don't see it working.
Well, not to mention, I mean, Becca Scoop tells us that Dan called it off with her before that spell even happened. He was like, no, I want nothing to do with you. Stop. Leave me alone.
Yeah. I think that she's making it up.
I do too. Let's go over into chat and see what our chat thinks. Heavenly has a cow tongue and a taco.
Oh.
Hold on. Straight Up Blowing Mind says Gypsy did the ritual to silence Dan. Oh, no, that's a point there too. Maybe because Dan did testify in Nick's her co-defendant, the autistic kid that she got to do her dirty work. He testified in his trial. Tongue is for silencing someone, not used for love break spell. Yep.
There you go.
There it is. No, I don't believe it, Cat's Life says. Chrissy says, I think she said it for shock value. Yeah, I think that's, yeah. I don't think Gypsy knows that people aren't shocked by this kind of stuff anymore.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of Austin Powers when the Dr. Evil was like $1 million. They're like, just 1 million?
That would be Gypsy.
Yes.
Straight Up Blown Mind says Gypsy got into DeeDee's old witchcraft literature in storage. When she got locked in the she shed. Supposedly, she said her mom locked her in the she shed out back.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Wait, Straight Up blowing minds, do you know that for a fact, or are you just speculating?
Straight Up is saying Dan saw what she did to her mom. She stated that publicly to warn Dan to shut his mouth. Shut it. I don't know. I think we're all speculating here.
Wait. What is this saying? What did she do to her mom? I missed something. Are you insinuating that she's the one that killed her mom?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, she helped. There were over 14's in my mind, but I know there's more. There was over, I think 20 some odds wounds with a knife inside of DeeDee. And Nick is very adamant that he only did it 4 times to DeeDee. Put the knife in her 4 times.
Oh.
Gypsy has bruises all over her knuckles in the interrogation. There was a Barney doll placed right by the head of her mother. And Gypsy said she never went into the room. Why would Nick, who has no affection for the victim, put a Barney doll? That's a sign of it's going to be okay. Here's a Barney doll. Here's a little doll or something.
But how did Dan see it?
Dan didn't see it. She was saying. Dan testified in Nick's trial, and she's saying, or straight up is saying, that Gypsy, it's not true. They're just saying that Gypsy did it to silence Dan.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see what you mean. He saw, that she killed her mom. Unalived her mom, and okay, I get it.
And there's another weird thing. Just before I went live, DeeDee was murdered on June 9th. I think that's the date. And her DeeDee's mother, who there's mystery around DeeDee's mother's death, died on June 9th. Is that not weird that it happened on the same day? I think
that is weird. That is very weird.
Yeah, it sounds very planned and ritualistic almost to me. Like maybe Miss Gypsy Doo is doing the DeeDee, or doing the voodoo. Yeah, DeeDee had a lot of damage to her face, and Gypsy had bruised knuckles. We're going to watch the interrogation. I just haven't gotten to it yet on the Parawomenradio network on one of these days, on Monday. Or I'm all flustered today. On Wednesday or Friday, we're going to be watching the interrogation because it was finally released, and I want to watch it from start to finish, because apparently at a certain point Gypsy's rolling around on the ground. She's saying that she can't go to jail because she's really, really sick, and just bragging about all their trips to Disney World that was given to her on the Make-A-Wish, they thought she was dying, so they gave her these trips type deal. It's a lot. Oh, June 10th. I'm sorry. It was, well, anyway, their date of death are the same, June, whatever it is. So, yeah. So that's really all I have tonight for the voodoo stuff.
There seems to be a lot more to this case than I was aware of before we started recording tonight. So I'm going to have to. I have a lot to look up.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
I hadn't gotten a chance to watch any of the stuff by that woman. What's the woman's name? You said the woman that has all the truth about it.
Becca Scoops.
Yeah. I haven't. I didn't get a chance to watch any of her stuff.
watch all of her stuff. And then Becca Scoops is the one that totally changed my mind about Gypsy. I was like, oh, poor Gypsy. She was horribly, abused. And, she was just kind of dragged into this by this mean old Nick Godejohn. And, oh, she did her time and I'm so happy for her. No, once you watch Becca Scoop, you're not going to think that at all. You're going to be like, that bitch. That evil. Yeah, she's evil. She's evil. I do want to say that go ahead.
So do we think that her mom actually did any of that to her? Or do we think Gypsy masterminded it all?
Well, we know the things that DeeDee did do. She needed all her surgeries. We know that. She needed all of her surgeries because she has this condition called microcephaly. And they used to put people that had that condition, microcephaly, into freak shows, sideshow circuses and things like that. They're an American Horror Story. It is Pepper the Pinhead. They used to call them pinheads.
Yeah.
Gypsy has that same diagnosis and it causes, her eye problems. So she would have had her eye surgeries for those reasons. It causes excessive drooling. So she would have had to have stuff done to her salivary glands. It causes the feeding tube. It causes problems with eating. So she would have had to have the feeding tube. So all of these things that Gypsy is saying her mother made her have done, she needed to have done. The things that DeeDee did do that was definite abuse was, one, she taught her daughter how to grift in a horrible way, but in a very effective way. She taught her daughter how to grift. She shaved her daughter's head in the grift. So things like that she did that was abusive, but not what Gypsy wants us to think was abusive.
And how does Becca Scoops know all this?
Becca Scoops has I don't know how many police officers, but the police officers that worked the case, she has inside information with them. And so she knows the behind the scenes stories. When you watch it, you're going to hear her talk about the police officers. And Becca Scoop is also a nurse. So she knows about the microcephaly and what it would cause and what it wouldn't cause. We have all of Gypsy's medical records because of her stepmother was trying to, while Gypsy was inside, get anybody and everybody to look at the records and to pick up the case to keep it going so when Gypsy came out, it would be relevant. So she gave all these medical records away to everybody, and there's a ton of medical records, them never thinking that anybody would take the time to look at all these medical records and go through it with a fine-tooth comb and be like, hey, wait a minute. So yeah, when you watch it, it's a rabbit hole that you're never going to come out of. So just be forewarned.
But that one doctor in Missouri, I mean, I saw him in the prison confessions. He said that he hadn't seen the medical reports until just then, and he apologized to Gypsy because of his inaction. So why would he apologize to her if the medical reports?
They think he's in on the grift.
Oh,
getting a lot of money. There probably were some. They were probably charging for things that they. Anyway, just watch it and then come back. I can't explain every single detail because it's just so much. But watch it, and then we'll have a conversation. Okay,
that sounds good. Even though that probably has nothing to do with paranormal, I would be more than happy to have the conversation with you.
We can always figure it out. There's always a paranormal spin to everything in this, even the voodoo part.
True.
we did do an interview on Hoodoo and VooDoo over on our blog page, and I'm going to link it. It's a interview with a different Hoodoo and VooDoo person from Conjure Oils, and she has a lot of information on what is hoodoo and what is voodoo and what is the difference between hoodoo and voodoo. And she even has a hoodoo spell ritual in there. It's the honey jar spell. It's very interesting. You has matches and lighter and her oils, and you begin on a Friday after the new moon. You write your intendant's full name 9 times on the paper. You turn it 90 degrees. It's just a lot. You set it aside. You open the honey. You melt the candle in the bottom. I mean, it's just very intense. And then you bury the jar in your yard, or you light it once a year on your new sweetie's anniversary. This was to get a sweetie. So,
okay.
But in no way are these to repel a sweetie. So I don't know. It would be very interesting to know if anybody ever could find that jar. Let me go. Chris C, my mod, Chris C knows quite a bit about this case. Chris C, did they ever find the mason jar? Chris C says also, he said the doctor followed them from Louisiana to Missouri. So they all moved from Louis. He was the doctor in Louisiana, and then they all ended up in Missouri together. I mean, how does that happen?
And maybe we're not talking about the same doctor.
No, we are.
We are. Okay, because the doctor I'm talking about said that, he never got to see any of her medical history or her medical records because DeeDee claimed they were all lost in Katrina.
Well, they have them, and they surfaced. He had them in the office. He's lying. He's in on the grift. This is all allegedly conspiracy. My opinion. I cannot say factual, because if the doctor wants to come back and sue me for any reason, this is all alleged, but it's not alleged. Okay. All right. Okay.
Oh, wow.
But it's alleged. I'm going to end it with alleged. It's alleged.
Alleged.
Yes. Tina Lewis says the police were investigating the fraud on this doctor and her daughter for fraud, theft by deception, and getting money on the basis GRB was a sick child. Law enforcement went to their house. So, Amy at only. Oh, yeah, Claire. It's the beginning was rocky. I hate this position that I don't know. I feel so weird about even mentioning it to people, because I'm like this proud little Scorpio who doesn't want to say I need help in anything.
Oh, I know. Me too. I didn't say anything to my mom about what's been going on this whole time until my power was shut off and I couldn't get help. All the agencies were like, "Oh, we're tapped out of money for the year already." And so finally I had to turn to my mom, and she's like, "Why are you just now telling me about all this?" And I'm like, I was trying to fix it on my own.
Yeah, I know. If I don't, I'm going to have to, I don't even want to think about it. Tomorrow it's going to be about, anyway, I'll get through it.
You'll figure it out.
I'll figure it out. Gosh. I'd almost forgotten it for a second. Anyway, what was I saying? I don't remember.
Oh, you were reading comments, and you had just read
No, I
about what
know.
Tina said.
Yeah. But what was I saying just before that? Anyway, I don't remember. But I'll put the link for all of this in the description so you guys can go through it. It's a lot. Why don't we? Yeah, we'll figure out another live that we can do where we can bring some kind of paranormal aspect in it, and we'll talk, because the Gypsy Rose case and the Watts case, they're my two most popular cases. I would say, like, I've got like 50% of the people that come to my page for Gypsy Rose, and like 75% come for the Watts case. Some people like the Gypsy Rose and the Watts case, so it bleeds over. But if I can talk about either one of those cases, it will be a live that a lot of my viewers will enjoy. So anytime we can work it around that, it's a good thing for us and for them, I would say.
That's fantastic. I was never real big on true crime, but now that I'm working with you, you've kind of converted me. You've turned me into a true crime junkie. No,
I love true crime, and I love the paranormal, and I love conspiracy theories. So
yeah.
What I haven't talked about in a long time on the channel, we used to talk about horror movies and horror shows all the time. I don't talk about that as much. I'm more true crime than I am horror anymore. So,
well, I mean, the truth is usually stranger than fiction.
Always, right?
Right.
Okay, well, do you have anything else you want to say?
Nope, nothing except that I'm gonna, when I'm done here in a minute, I'm gonna go look up the Becca Scoops things, because now I'm curious.
We love Becca Scoops here, and she's she's very easy to watch because she just puts the facts out, and she lets you, if she puts the facts out and she lets you think however you want to think. She's not telling you, she's not trying to convince you one way or another. She's just saying, this is what Gypsy is saying. These are the facts. She even goes to it as far as the night. She shows on this last one what she did to get Nick to do it, and the mental gymnastics that she put him through. And she has somehow, I don't know how she did it, but she has the text. Well, the texts are on the record of the police, but she not only has the text, but Gypsy thought it would be smart to do it through Facebook too. Like she moved Nick back and forth between text and Facebook, and then she deleted the Facebook because she had tons of Facebook accounts, and Becca Scoops has those Facebook posts. I don't know how she did it, but she's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then let's wrap this up so I can get to it.
Yeah. Shannon's got to go. She's got to go listen to Becca. I even like saying Becca Scoops. It's like a fun name to say, Becca Scoops. So
yeah, that is fun.
I like Becca Scoops. Okay, guys. So, Shannon, thank you so much for being here. It's been really fun. And I hope that everything works out for you.
Ditto.
As far as your situation. Thank you. And I'll see you next week.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, guys, I think I forgot to do the algorithm dance party before we started. So if we could just start doing that, warming your fingers up and dancing them up to the hearts and thumbs up button, helps me dance out into the algorithm party out there. Bring more people back. It's just a free way to help me out, and it's really, really appreciated. So the tip option is down. It is the green money button, or down below across, you can see where I say, yes, we have PayPal and we have Cashapp. It's under parawomenradio@gmail.com. We have Cashapp and we have WhatsApp. It's all under parawomenradio.com. So parawomenradio@gmail.com, sorry. And the women is plural. It's WOMEN. I think sometimes people put MAN and it's MEN. It's plural. So if anyone can help out in any way, it's really appreciated. At this point, Cashapp or PayPal would be easier because I don't get paid out through the YouTube until next month. But joining as a dragonfly is always long-term wonderful. The Dragonfly is the membership program over on YouTube. It is $2.99 a month. I release all my videos early to the dragonflies. We have a monthly drawing and talk that we do, live that we do, shout outs on all of the intros, outros, and emojis. So yeah. Oh, thank you so much, Claire Harper. It is so appreciated. Yes, I get paid for the stickers. Thank you so much, Claire. And thank you so much, Heavenly, also for donating tonight with the tips. It is so appreciated. And yeah, I love you guys. Even if you can't help me, please don't stop coming back. I'm going to get through this. I always get through it. It's just, I don't know. This time I don't have a vehicle to go live in, so it's 10 times worse. So it's just bad. I'm going to go. If nobody's told you this today, I'm telling you this. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys. Hi, guys. Welcome to Parawomen Radio. I'm Amy.
Carefully strumming this old guitar, words rolling out into the fire. Never ask why my heart burned blue. Here in the haze where you inspire me. Here in the darkness I hear my cue. Time to find some solitude. Here where my soul bleeds openly, deep in the heart of sin and you. Here in the blue, I'm falling deep into you. Carefully strumming this old guitar again, words rolling out